Muses, where we talk about cool things. And tonight we're talking about the Wheel of Time, Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time. First time readers, myself and Brian / Nerdporeal, Nerdporeal Lifeform, once again joining us. Hello, Nerdporeal.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. Good to see you. And we are the only two people that I know that haven't read and finished this series, so we don't know how it ends. And so I think it's kind of exciting getting the first impressions several years after the fact. And just a reminder, spoilers only for the first 5 books. Please do not. You will be banned, and I'm not even joking if you try to spoil something. And I've only ever had to ban 2 people in my entire career here on YouTube. But someone who is not banned, it is Staplebow. Hello, Staplebow. Hail. Thank you for being here. And let's see, what does it says? Nerdporeal Lifeform. Oh, well, look who it is. He gave a little bit of a starter here. My opinion has changed slightly on this one. There were some parts I really liked. A lot of it was a disappointment. Oh, should have went into this with lower expectations or none, to be honest.
Yeah, I a lot of my issues, and I was re-listening to my old book club stream that I did about over a year ago now, and a lot of it was me projecting what I thought was gonna happen based on all the books I've read, and of course based on how the first 3 books were paced and all that. So, but yeah, I mean, I've re-listened to the Threads Burning chapter. There was a lot of stuff I missed the first time I read it, and I don't think I fully understood what was going on, or even understood what the stakes were. So, yeah, I kind of wish I understood it better.
Understood.
That's
Yeah,
why I'm not the biggest fan of Teleron Riyadh and its rules or something. So that's one of my issues. Is instead of going to more of the alternate worlds that the Great Hunt started, he just decided to focus on the dream world starting in book 3. And I mean, it's convenient for communicating over long distances in the fantasy world.
Yeah.
So,
well, I have been told that the dream world is the key to everything. So I'm thinking it's all going to come together. I think I'm going into this with a little bit of a different attitude than perhaps others, because I'm looking literally at the big picture. Like as I'm reading, I'm looking toward the end. I'm seeing it as one big, huge story. And I'm not expecting, for example, another The Great Hunt, which I think at this point is still my favorite book of all of them. Just from the, as you said, the pacing, the epic ending. But what I am experiencing is I am still head over heels in love with these characters, this world, and I give a damn about what's going to happen to them. And I'm very excited to keep reading and finding out. I was telling Brian earlier before the stream started that I'm already past 300 pages into the next book, and that I'm very happy I was able to get back into the routine of reading. I usually read in the morning with my morning coffee. I'd gotten out of that routine for several reasons, and because of my knee, I busted it, my first sports injury ever. I've found myself able to sit and read, and I just can't stop. I love everything. I love all the people, and I just like to just sit with this world. I'm only on book 6. I'm not even halfway through, but I'm almost having a sadness that one of these days I'm going to finish book 14 and that's going to be the end.
I wish I felt that way. I don't. I mean, the only reason why I'm continuing to read this is because there is some investment, especially from the earlier books, and I'm curious how this all plays out. I mean, a lot of it I know, a lot of it I think doesn't pay off because of the fact that Robert Jordan passed away, but that's neither here nor there. I find myself like, part of the problem I had with this book was just the fact that I felt the characters were too safe, and there was too much. It got to the point where a lot of the plot armor, I was having a hard time believing what I was reading. So, I mean, I mean, it does all come together. I mean, I agree with you. You told me on DM, that it does all come together, even more ways than I realized the first time. But I like when when I don't know if you're ready to talk spoilers, but when the end of the book happens, I wasn't convinced that the characters were dead. And of
Mm.
course, right, because they're not, because of Taverin.
Yeah, well, and also the whole balefire thing. You see, to me, I felt like that had been foreshadowed because
That
the
was foreshadowed.
balefire
Yeah,
takes things back in the past.
yeah, that's why he went painstakingly in the chapter with the Dark Hounds. Why he basically established that, because that aspect, the time travel or the displacement in time when someone gets hit by the white beam, the white beam of light, that was not established in Dragon Reborn. That was established here. So he set that up, so he was going to pay it off some way. And I figure with the fact that we see Robin a lot more,
Hmm.
he was probably going to be the recipient of that payoff. And well,
And he was. What a prickly person. Emphasis on the first syllable of it. I was so happy when he got what he had. What he was doing with Morgaze, I just thought was despicable. Raven is, of course, the big bad, if you will, of this particular book, or rather the one that gets to meet the great beyond, because he had balefire happen to him. And I guess if you get balefired, that's it. You're done. That you can't pass
yeah.
go again or be
I,
reborn.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I liked I mean, he was bad, and I liked he was bad in the Dragon Reborn, because he had his little lackey.
Mhm.
He sent his lackey to Tyr to basically kill Elaine, and of course Matt overhears that conversation, and he's there in Camelin because he had to deliver a letter to Morgaze, and Robin was like questioning him too. Uh, um, but he overhears the conversation, and yeah, that I was like, okay, this High Lord Gabriel is, he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. And we get to this book, and yes, we see him. He's doing compulsion and all that. But honestly, I think there was more room to see more stuff that would have made me hate the character. Like I felt indifferent when he
Oh.
went after him. I just
Oh.
I felt there was not I felt like there was not enough for me to like this should have been like this should have been more personal. Like this should have been way more personal than it was.
Okay.
In my opinion, I know everybody. A lot of people love the Fires of Heaven. It got pretty salty on my book club, but yeah, I felt like I've seen better payoffs than this. I'm not saying this was a bad one. This was pretty solid. I mean, this was solid writing. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I didn't like this nearly as much. This this is where my disappointment comes in.
Sure. Well, I
But the
despised him because I think the whole stuff that he did with Morgaze, to me, that got me so mad at him that
Yeah, maybe it's because
that
I saw
kept me going.
Ramsay Bolton and Joffrey in Game of Thrones
Oh.
as worse villains.
Oh,
Um,
well,
but
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I totally understand. Yeah, yeah, I agree. He's absolutely despicable, and yeah, at least we see him die, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, it's very
I was expecting
satisfying.
I was expecting a dialogue exchange, so I was kind of surprised. This was more like, like hunting. It's like hunting the Viet Cong in Vietnam or something
Mm.
type of story. Speaking of Vietnam, there's a Vietnam connection to another character that we meet. Well, we met him before, but he became this other figure that who our a dear friend of ours has a YouTube channel named after this character.
Um, Prophet of the Dragon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but when I read that chapter where Nynaeve meets him or gets his permission to do something, he came off to me as Colonel Kurtz, Marlon Brando's character in
Oh, from
Apocalypse
the
Now. Yeah,
Heart of Darkness. Well, the
Heart of Darkness.
well,
Yeah,
yeah, it was an adaptation of Heart of Darkness, I believe.
I did get the book though. I haven't read it yet. But I
Oh,
hear like like they just took the Heart of Darkness idea and set it in Vietnam, and that's basically Apocalypse
yeah.
Now.
Which was a ingenious thing. The horror, the horror. Yeah. Well, Definitely, yeah. We see some definitely interesting characters, and of course, things from Robert Jordan's time, being a Vietnam vet.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to start as we get a little bit in detail about it. Like, what did you think though of Rand's arc? You know, I think we're going to start looking at things in terms of arcs because it's so hard to get the big stuff. But you know, we saw where Rand was in the beginning. Where did Rand end up at the end?
So to me, Rand's arc is basically a continuation of the last book. So the last book was really where he started to be a ruler.
Hmm.
Like he obviously he claims Kalendor at the end of Dragon Reborn, and now he's the ruler of Tyr. And now that there's Aiel and Aiel, he learns that there's he learns about like there's another prophecy that he tries to fulfill, and then he ends up being the Karn. So he ends up he's not just like in the Great Hunt, he becomes a leader of men of a few band of men, under Ingtar's command. And then Dragon Reborn, of course, he goes off by himself to kind of prove, well, wait, am I really this Dragon Reborn guy? Well, now he's an actual ruler with agency, and this
Hmm.
book is a continuation of that. But the thing is, he always had he had his friends and he had mentors by his side. This is the book where that changes
Yes.
with what happens to Moraine.
Yeah, and it was already happening already, perhaps because she knew what was coming. I didn't catch that. I was like with the other characters, why is Moraine just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, and kind of staying more in the background and stuff? It was because she knew that this she was going to die, or maybe not die, because of course, until you see a body, whenever anyone goes through a portal, we know that that doesn't necessarily mean death. Now, I think that she's definitely cut off from this world,
Yeah,
but
so
she's gone.
that's why Land doesn't feel her anymore, and that's why he reacts the way he does.
Mhm.
But from what everyone says, she is dead or something. So
Oh, wow.
so but this is Wheel of Time,
Yeah.
that
Dead
people
from
can
a
count
certain point of
people,
view.
yeah, from a certain point of view. So, but to me, that was her. I mean, that was her Gandalf moment. That was
Yep.
her, fly you fools moment, where she, where how like he gets where Gandalf falls with the Balrog, and this time
Mhm.
Moraine falls into the thing with Lanfear. And we'll get into we'll get into
Yeah, what
Lanfear,
that
but this was basically where he doesn't have a mentor anymore in
yeah.
Moraine, and so he's kind of has to figure things out on his own, and he has to use his own agency to go forward. And
Yeah.
he's drifting away from he's drifting away from his other friends. And I was listening to other reviews talk about this. He's drifting away from Matt. Matt wants to leave him because Matt wants to live, and he
Mhm.
associates all the danger that they've been in so far with Rand. So like Matt wants to leave right away. He tries to leave, and he ends up, because of his because of how he was taught, and the fact that he's loyal, and he doesn't want, if he can help it, he's going to help people. That's why he ends up getting his own army at the end of this
Yeah. The
particular.
whole Taverin thing was so clear. It's like he couldn't help it. And then it was like, boom, now you are whatever they call it, the Mart. I forget the name of his army, but
the
whatever that is, I
band
thought
the band of the Red Hand.
there you go, the Banded Red Hen. I thought that was epic.
So yeah, it's a combination. So you saw like, there was like a coalition of Kyrianan and Tyran soldiers that were walking into a trap, and he saw it from where he was, because the Kyrianan landscape is all hilly. It's rolling hills, very, but not there's not a lot of trees. It's just very rolly. It's like the great, I think, what, the Great Plains almost, right by the mountains. So he sees this, and he's like, "Oh, bro, you're gonna die. You guys are gonna
Yeah.
die." So he ends up going, and he ends up giving them instruction on how to survive, and they do, and they end up, and then as a result, everybody wants to join his army, because he's lucky. He's got luck on his side. He's got a luck attribute of like 1,000. Okay, I don't
Mhm.
know. for sure, but you know what I mean, right?
Well, yeah. Well, no, that was the whole thing about when no matter what he did, he couldn't mess up in the last book, I believe, where he was winning all of the hands at gambling. And no matter what, he kept living, even when he would make a fall. So he definitely has plot armor. But I do like the way that Robert Jordan, it seems to me that he knows they have plot armor because
Yeah,
even they
that's where the Taveran thing comes from.
yeah, and the whole incredulity of it. It's like, I should have died, but I guess I didn't because, F Moraine or the Aes Sedai. I
Yeah.
love that. And of course, we had Rand, when you talk about him also coming into his own, when he makes a decision to give an amnesty for the men that can channel even the false dragons at the end, that blew my mind. I did not see that coming. And I thought, wow, this is going to change everything, to be honest. And it's going to be very unpopular.
Yeah, and I'm curious, now that I think about that, I'm curious if Moraine would have, I'm sure Moraine would have advised, you know what, she absolutely would have advised against it.
Mm-hmm.
So her not being there and him coming to this decision. I mean, the thing was, he went into that final battle by himself.
Yes.
And the thing that he realized is he needs other channelers, and all the women are Aes Sedai, so he's looking for men because men can be stronger. So he's looking for other men. And well, you've already read parts of Lord of Chaos. The first 3 chapters,
yes,
not including the prologue with a certain character that we finally meet, were excellent and had high tension. And the guys, when we were talking about Fires of Heaven, like, you're gonna love this guy. And I read the first 3 chapters and I was like, yep, I do love this guy.
Yeah, we need some more masculinity coming in here, because even though Rand has a thing with Avienda, she's still kind of Aes Sedai, even though she's not, because she's part of the Wise Ones women thing. It's still something separate from him. And even though they banged, they're really not even together at this point. Though she said, was it she gave him a year or something? Because didn't he ask her to marry him after they banged? And I don't know, but she's like, no, you belong to Elaine. So it's very ambiguous what their relationship is, in my humble opinion, at this point.
I honestly don't remember. I do remember that he wanted to, he was looking into like Two Rivers customs on marriage and all that. I don't remember exactly how that played out. And Avienda was getting on my nerves the last couple of books, so them doing the deed and then having that little working together to fight the Sean Chan while trying to escape, I thought was a lot of fun. Something I feel this book needed more of. So I actually really did enjoy that chapter. It's something that I forget why she created the gateway. Was it because she was naked in the bed, then she got embarrassed and then she ran off?
Something like that. Or I think she was also very tempted to bang at that point, and that she ran away, from what I understood as well, that she had to get away from him, that she did like something that desperate. And he was like horrified, like, you're going to do that to get away from me? And then it was the Days of Our Lives moment where she was nearly frozen to death and they were in a tent and he was warming her with his body. And then next,
she was the one. She's like, shut up. She's like, shut up. And then they do it. And then,
yeah.
And then a few moments later, and then, yeah.
Because they got to keep them apart. Again, it's a little bit of Days of Our Lives school here. I do want to say hello to Jacob Ironside. Hello. Thank you for being here. Steek says, hello, Steek is here. Hello. Hi there, Teresa and company.
Steve?
Hope you are well. Read this one in the 90s. I was thoroughly hooked. Yes, he's one of the lucky bastards who read them as each of them came out. So he has a definitely different experience of it than I do, of course. But yes. And he has actually spoiled something, but you won't be banned from the channel. It was an accident, though. It wasn't anything huge, but there was something. Because sometimes I know people that have read the whole series forget what happened in what book. But it's all good, because I also understand how that thing works. But yes, for sure. Yeah, totally hooked. Yeah, I know that he's the one that told me, Steve, that the ending is the best that we can expect, of course, since he is no longer with us. Robert Jordan, that Sanderson did the best he could. So
Okay.
we hope there. So I will hold you to that, Steve. So thank you for being here. And again, Jacob Ironside said he needs to get back to reading. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. In my humble opinion, I'm having loads of fun with it. I really am. I think it's a blast. So good times. But in other words, and that was really the end of it there as far as Rand goes. I really enjoyed the conquering of the throne room and all that. Or what's the name of the main city? I mean, you have the Caharans, but whatever the name of the city is, when he was
Oh,
going
I
out
mean, the battle was at Kyrian,
the Chiron.
but he went and with a small group of people and attacked Camelin, which is where Robin was. Robin was um, yeah, that's where Robin was. And then
Mm-hmm,
things happened where they set off some wards because Robin had wards around the
mm-hmm,
city, so they detected the channeling, and right away, because of the fact that like he can home in, even though he's not there present, he can home in where the channeling happens, and that's how the lightning came. Rand barely shields himself from it, but he
mm-hmm.
couldn't shield everyone and save them in time, and that's where smoke was coming out of the laying bodies of Avienda, Matt, and Asmodean.
Yeah, and we thought they were gone. I'll tell you what, I thought that was really powerful, though, the way when he was just letting loose, it showed you maybe why the women are afraid of men with their challenge, their channeling. Hills were blowing up. I mean, all stuff blowing up. I know, of course, I'm going back in between different parts of the different battles, but definitely the power that he had. And you're right about the smoke coming out of him. And I thought they were dead at first, but then I was like, wait a second. I
Yeah,
kind of heard
I didn't think I knew they weren't dead. I knew they
yeah,
weren't dead. So,
I'd had
but
enough of the spoiler-ish stuff
but
that you just can't avoid that I knew.
I missed. What's weird is you guys are gonna laugh at me, but there's a lot of stuff from the last couple chapters that I missed. Either I
Mm,
didn't understand because I was reading it. I was trying to read it really quickly, and I didn't really take the time to really absorb what I was reading, and so
mhm,
there was a lot of details I missed, and I didn't even fully understand the stakes right
mhm.
away in chapter 55. Um, but
Ah,
even chapter 54, I was like, oh, I thought they were knocked out because plot armor and all that. But then
yeah,
everyone's like, no, there's smoke coming out. They were fried. They're dead. I was
yeah,
like, oh.
yeah.
See, Rob
But
Jordan
we
doesn't
got
write like that. He doesn't have to say they're dead. He just has to describe it and let the reader figure out what he's talking about.
yeah, that they were scarred, that they were ash, basically. Steek says book 5 was the last one I read in Norwegian. The translations were 2 books behind. Switched to English and got book 6 and 7 ASAP just as I was done with them. 8 came out. After that, I had to wait. Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying. And then I think Steeg is referring to what I was saying a bit earlier. Jordan Sanderson ended the season well. Feist and Goodenkind in their series shortly after they did. Brooks a few years later. All of them stuck the innings for my favorite series over a few years. Yes, and if you have not, people watching on the replay, etc., please do. You will not be disappointed, especially with Feist. I can't speak to the others, but definitely if you want a series.
What's Feist known for?
The Magician, the Rifor saga. The first book is called The Magician, and there's like 26 books in them, and they are amazing. It took me a few years to do it, but very, very good stuff. Very
Okay,
good.
yeah, I've heard a good kind. Wizard's First Rule. I've
Hmm.
never read it though. But I've seen his books on the bookshelf when I was a kid. Back right when when Winter's Heart and Path of Daggers, when those books came out. So yeah.
Okay. And I want to say hi to Rachel Percy Art if I haven't already. And then Adega Outlaw, thank you for being here. And Seek says, and I agree with him, I'm looking forward already to my reread. A lot of it makes sense on the reread, which is how they were consumed back in the day, reread while waiting for the next. Yeah, I can only imagine all the speculation in between each book and the way the internet, even though we didn't have social media necessarily the way we have it now, until the towards the end of the books, there were bulletin boards I remember that you would get to on fan websites and on different fantasy shows. I remember
I
going
mean,
into those.
I might reread the first three. I wouldn't reread these other books. I might reread
Mhm.
some chapters, but I don't know. A lot. It's been more of like me just forcing myself to read them. I
Yeah.
mean, there's things that I am. There are things that I am invested in, but I'm not. I don't. I'm not. I'm not as invested in these characters as I want to be.
Ah.
That's my issue. That's my issue that I have right now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's tricky. Well, I can
Mm.
imagine that once I'm done, I might want to take a break and watch some other stuff. But indeed, it's to me, as I said, I'm loads of fun, having loads of fun. But I did have trouble in the middle of this book, and maybe that's what I want to talk about the next arc, which is Nynaeve and Elaine. I had some trouble with maybe a little too much of their story and some of the circus stuff going on. I was like, enough already.
Well, there's a big gap between there's a big gap where Rand's not in it from chapters 8 all the way to 20.
Yeah,
So
that's a long time.
we see so chapter 6 Gateways was such a good chapter. That's one of the Dark Hounds. Then chapter 7 was them basically, hey, the Shiden were moving, and then Rand's like, okay, we're moving too, and all that. So this is one of the last books that I'm at so far where they had where the characters had to move, from point A to point B. So the next few books, I mean, you've started book 6 already. There's a lot of staying put.
Yeah.
There's more staying put in these later books. I mean, there is some travel, and I think you've already seen the length of travel, but yeah, there's more, traveling from different points. There it doesn't have to be as long journeys as much anymore. So this is one of the last books that has that. That's why there's this big gap in chapters with Rand,
Yeah.
especially. So, but yeah, I thought the Nynaeve stuff was very. I I liked how her arc came together at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some interesting chapters she was in. There was one where Egwene has her assaulted in Teleron Riyadh. You remember? Like Nynaeve is grabbed by two men and they were about to do something bad to her. And this was Nynaeve's way of frightening her into not effing around in Teleron Riyadh. There was an equivalent chapter where the wise ones pretended to be like this giant monster that was going to eat Egwene in the Shadow Rising. They wanted to scare her into not, going into Teleron Riyadh. Like I think on, I don't know if it was like in the body, like going in the flesh. I mean, or if it was just going on unattended or unsupervised.
Yeah, and
I
especially if you
forgot what
don't
it was.
understand, because if you die in this dream world, I mispronounce it, so I don't know if I can say it. If you die in there, you die. You're gone. And I
Yeah,
know that they
your
they did
soul is
want to
gone
scare them.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that 90 was a little too self-confident. And what I like though is that what happened when she basically got Birgitte effed up, the whole thing there with that brought her down several pegs, and I started to like her better.
the Birgitta stuff I actually really, really like. That was a good moment in this book right here, especially your Birgitta, like the one time where I was just like, whoa, something's going on. That's when Moghedien ambushes them in Teleron Riyadh. I think this was when they were still with the circus, um, and Birgitta tries to fight her off, and then of course Birgitta's wounded, mortally wounded, and the only way to save her, Elaine makes her warder, so she now has a female warder.
Yeah,
So
that's
Brigitte,
significant. I don't know why, but I know it's going to come back.
and then what really got me, and I think Robert Jordan set this up really well, was the fact that Brigitte mourned the fact that she will unlikely, because she always knew, like, she was always born within a certain time from Gaidel Kane, which is who her lover is. She was a hero of the Horn. He's a hero of the Horn. And I think in every time that they were reborn into the world, they always fell in love. They always somehow found each other and fell in love. Well, she cries and mourns the fact that she's unlikely going to be able to do that for in this life. That, like, by the time she's older, Gato Kane will be a baby or something.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just that just broke my heart.
Yeah, I also got the feeling that the wheel was breaking. You know how the wheel of time, like everything spins the way it's supposed to, and that this has broken the pattern a little bit. That she's supposed to come back, she's supposed to be with him, and that this
Yeah.
is huge. That she is bonded to Elaine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sad. Steve has a question. I do have this. I own it. The soundtrack they made for the books. It's official. Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. Did you
No.
get the soundtrack or listen to any of the music? I think
No,
you might.
what I didn't even know there was a soundtrack. I don't know what's there's a lot of stuff out there that I don't know is real or if somebody made it or something. I don't
Sure.
know what this official soundtrack is.
Yeah.
I've found uses of music for moments in the books that I thought was especially for my intros, especially if there's a part I really like in the book that really gets me excited. I will try to reenact that with my voice obviously, and I'll play some music that I think is usually from video games. I feel kind of sets the mood that the Robert Jordan tries to create. So I like for instance the Stone Stands. I used the battle theme of Gilgamesh from Final Fantasy V. It's very it's very epic, but yet it's very uh how
Epipro. I guess it's not as
it's epic, but it's also very menacing.
ah,
There's a menace to the theme that it could go south if you're not if you're not careful or something like that. So
fair
I don't know.
enough. Yeah, and of course Brigitte. I've been calling her Brigitte. I guess it's Brigitta is a Scandinavian name. Yes, definitely of that heritage. Well, and speaking of which, with Brigitta and all that, how it all goes down that she ends up coming into our world is because Mogedian, is that how you say her name? One of
Mogedian.
the yeah, Mogedian, one of the Forsaken, she well, for lack of a better word, kills her. And this was the only way to save her life. I thought that she was a true villain in this book and in the end of the last book. I was really frightened of her. And I think that Nynaeve was a little dumb to think that she could maybe get her. And I mean, Birgitta, though, maybe was she overconfident or something because she felt like it would be okay to go out and seek this Forsaken.
I don't know if she sought she I don't know if she sought them. The Mogedian ambushed them, and Birgitta managed to do the heroic thing and try to fight her off.
Yeah. Well, she did seek her because Nynaeve wanted her to go out and find her, and then she's like, "Hey, I found her, and she won't see us." And then the ambush happened slightly after that because she did see them, so that's how she knew where to find them. So they
Okay.
accidentally revealed themselves to her.
Yeah, I forgot how that plays out. I didn't review that part of the book. I just remembered that
Yeah,
moment.
no, it's okay. It's fresh in my mind because it was so suspenseful. Because I didn't even feel like it was safe. It's like, what the hell are you all doing, ladies? And sure enough, she
Yes.
basically stabbed her, or I forget how she killed her, or mortally wounded Brigitte. But man, it was brutal, and the idea that she could die was very shocking to me. And of course, Nynaeve, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Nynaeve, you got Brigitte killed. The great. It's like getting. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an equivalent ancient hero of ancient times. It's like, I don't know, getting Odysseus killed. Like, Odysseus is a real person and you get him killed because you fecked up. That was what I felt from that.
Yeah.
But luckily,
Um.
she.
Yeah. Mogedion. Yeah. You know what else Mogedion did, and she kind of. I haven't seen her since this, but she kind of got rid of Leandrin for us. So Leandrin was leading the Black Aja for some. She was the villain for like several books. Like she was the one that sold everybody to sold Egwene to the Shan Chan in the Great Hunt, and then they're hunting her in the Dragon Reborn. Then she ends up capturing our girls, and then they get taken to the Stone of Tyr, and then they miss them in the Shadow Rising. But now with Leandrin following them, she doesn't realize that the serving girl that's there with them is actually Mogedion.
Yeah.
So Mogedion just like goes all super villain mode, and basically punishes Leandrin, and Leandrin tries to get everyone to turn on her, and they don't. So
Yeah.
she ends up getting herself shielded. She gets shielded permanently.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
that's the last I've seen of her. I'm on book 8.
Yeah, she hasn't come. Well, of course, obviously, you're ahead of me on this one, but yes, I thought that was epic. I mean, I wouldn't have joined in. It's like, oh hell no, oh hell no. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Steve makes a good point though, and I think we see this with Mogadishian, or however, if keep saying her name wrong, because of what happens to her at the end. That a lot of the Forsaken are out of their depth. Last time they were around, it was basically a Blade Runner society in terms of technology. Now they are stuck in medieval times and primitive.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you'll well, especially the character Samuel. Um, he does a lot of stuff with certain technologies that will reveal itself in the next few books. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the Age of Legends. I was surprised. Like when I first read the Eye of the World, I thought the Age of Legends was just I thought the world was kind of like Star Wars, where it just doesn't change like that. So when I saw the Wheel of Time series was the first time. Yeah, I know the Wheel of Time series was the first time I saw the fact that, oh, this is a futuristic, post scarcity, utopian, I'm guessing, society, kind
Yeah.
of like a fantastical version of the Star Trek, you know, world basically.
And then it all gets broken and now it's all like
Yeah,
medieval. Yeah.
yeah, and and they actually adapted that one moment in the Shadow Rising. They actually adapted pretty well, where they're trying to drill into the beam, or and drill into the bore, and then the shit breaks loose. They actually showed that pretty well in the show. That was probably
Yeah.
the one scene that was something all of our friends, the White Cloaks, really enjoyed. But the rest of the season was still bad. They
Yeah.
killed
They
characters
one
that
thing
shouldn't be
right.
dead yet. That's the problem. That's another problem.
Oh yeah, of course. And speaking of someone who's not dead yet, it is Salty Traveling Sea, who is very much alive and real and dropping real time Wheel of Time cringe in text like a boss. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah. Let's see. Alganor too, says Deeg. I think he was more of a Mangala type of scientist. Ooh.
Yeah, just experimenting on people, and creating the shadow spawn. And what's funny is there's a shadow spawn that you haven't encountered yet that I have encountered, and the shadow spawn is very, 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 very dangerous.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, I asked Dane, like, how did they control this? And I don't think he was able to answer me. You'll know what I'm talking. Actually, you probably have read what this creature is. You just don't know what. I don't think you remember what it is.
Yeah.
What's funny is one of the names of the. I hate to sound political right now, but one of the names of the Iranian um, upper the inner circle of the leadership over there that got killed by Israelis. One of them, the first name is the name of that creature. I was looking at, like, holy crap. I'm
Wow.
like, holy crap.
Oops.
I can't say what it is, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not quite all right. I completely understand. Well, trust me, I know enough about these creatures. Well, the fades, they have different names. I know of their real name is like Midrill. I can't ever say these out loud. That
Murdral.
they are, yeah, they're nothing to be messed around with, and the fact that they're
No.
real and in this world, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, they're very fast. They're hard to kill, and they don't, even if you decapitate them, they don't die until they realize they're dead. At least that's how Robert Jordan puts it.
Mm,
So they're really tough to kill, and so it's almost like when each of our heroes slays a Murdral, it's like a rite of passage almost, from them
yeah,
going from being regular, being kids, to being adults that are able to, you know, you know, basically, be a good, defender of the light, to fight the dark, basically.
yeah. They level up. They
They
level up
love
with
they level
knowledge.
up, basically.
Yeah. Now,
I mean, yeah.
it was clever how Nynaeve trapped uh, Mogadishu, whatever her name is. The fact that she like thought one of those Adam things, the leashes into existence. It made complete sense, but why didn't she see that trap? I don't know if it was pride, if it was like that she was monologuing too much because she was like, "Yay, I finally got Nynaeve afraid of me," and then Nynaeve kind of is reaching up to her, and then boom, she entraps her by thinking the leash into existence. I thought it was epic. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. But after thinking about it, I'm like, why didn't the bad guy? Why didn't she see it coming?
I honestly don't know. I don't remember all the rules of Teleron Riyadh.
Yeah.
Um, I
Oh
would
yeah. I
guess
mean, it made complete sense because
she probably wasn't aware of the technology. I'm guessing, and I
oh, you're
mean,
right. She may not have known that.
so she probably didn't know what it was. Like the reason why Egwene had it put on, the reason why all those Aes Sedai had it put on because they didn't know what it was. It just someone just throws it on you really quickly before you realize what it is, and then you can't do anything. Like the Adam basically keeps you can't even think about fighting it, or you're gonna feel extremely sick,
Yeah.
or worse than it was a fate worse. It's a fate worse than death. So that's
Yeah.
kind of why, So yeah, so that's kind of what Mogedion, I guess, deserves, basically.
Okay. Mogedion, thank you. Yes, I thought it was brilliant. I mean, one of the first times I went Nynaeve, that was epic. Well done. I really, really enjoyed that part. And I saw how it came together. And thank you for helping me pronounce these women's names because I only say them inside my head. I don't ever hear them spoken. But yes, Stieg is making good points. Some of the names are taken from Jewish religion folklore as well. Demon named, I think Samuel was one of them. Yes, he definitely comes from all his Judeo-Christian heritage as well as the other mythologies of
So
different times.
so from what I'm reading right now, so apparently, in order for things to appear, you have to think about it and it just appears. Well, apparently Nynaeve thought about being linked to Mogedion and then thinking about the Adam on her neck, and I guess it just appeared that way.
Yeah.
So I mean, how do you fight that? I don't know. I mean, maybe there's more to. I don't know how you would fight that.
Yeah. Unless you know it's coming. I think you're right that was the key that she didn't see it coming. Oh yeah, Mogadishu is the capital of Somalia. Teresa. Oh gosh, shut up. You're getting me in trouble.
In the show, she is, or no? Oh no, not Mogedion, no.
No. Nynaeve is. But so well done, Nynaeve. You finally got taken down a peg. I also liked her interaction with Prophet Dragon. We mentioned it earlier. It makes complete sense that there would be fanatical followers of the dragon, people that have never even met Rand. And the fact that the guy who's the prophet of the dragon, the way he has it maybe almost in a cult, but he somehow has maintained power. And I don't know. I can see them going Branch Davidian or something. They're definitely very dangerous little cult around the dragon.
He had so I was rereading it. So the queen that basically is trying to negotiate with him, he's obviously has all the cards and he has all the power. So he's basically calling all the shots. And we find out that her name's the queen is Eliandra of Altara, and I think it's Altara. Her is a Gildan. I forget. Um, um, she was the fourth in line, so the prophet had her three predecessors killed.
Yes.
For trying to fight him, for trying to you know what do you call where you challenge someone in authority?
Treason or
Not treason. Challenge someone in authority, like a student challenges a teacher.
insubordination.
Insubordinate. Well, yeah, insubordination. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, yeah, they weren't. I mean, when three people are killed before you, but the fact that he was able to get himself into the kind of power that he was able to do that, usurp. Maybe that's what Sneak is saying. Usurp. Um, and he also says most characters, heroes, and villains get taken out some pegs eventually used due to their own actions. And maybe that's why I relate to these characters because don't we all? Don't we all have those moments where we get humbled and where we learn through it and
Defy.
defiance? Okay,
Yeah,
same
sorry.
idea. No worries.
It's one. It's the like words. It's like stick in the back, and I just like what is, and I can't think of it, and then I have to give it time for it to for it to come
Percolate.
in the front. I don't have. It's not like in the Three Stooges where like I have something in the back of my head. And Mo hits it, and Mo hits Curly in the back of the head, and they're like, "Do you know now?" He's like, "No, you knocked it, cleared out."
Yeah, here at Miss
Right.
Martin, we believe in thesauruses or thesauri since it has a US ending and we learn vocabulary. But definitely, all of these things I think are very fascinating. And so, Nynaeve, of course, knew enough to get away from them. And of course, coming to her epic moment where she did the assist at the end of the novel, where she is in the dream world, but Rand and the Robin were human in the dream world or really in
In the
there. And
flesh, they were in the
yeah,
flesh.
thank you. And Mogadien was freaking out because she was like, they will kill us. If they find us, they will kill us. But um Nynaeve was able to burn him basically while he was distracted. And while he was burning whatever she did to him there, that enabled Rand to send the balefire, and then we get what we got.
Yeah, I read that and I didn't fully. It's because of the fact that Robert Jordan writes it in a way that um, really shows you how much of a adrenaline rush the character's in, especially from Rand's point of view. So
Hmm.
he writes in a way that the character has this big adrenaline rush, and when I first read, I wasn't sure what was real and what was not real. And
Hmm.
especially going into Teleron Riad, I got even more confused. I was like, is this real? Is he imagining this? Because at the same time, he has Luce there and talking to him. He has
Oh
Luce there
yeah,
and
because
so while he's hunting, while he's wary of his surroundings. Like he all, like he literally just like it's like you ever see the 2009 Star Trek film?
yes.
There's a moment where they beam. They're like, okay, beam us aboard the Narada. The Eric Bana ship. Eric Bana, evil Romulan guy with the trident, dumb villain. But that's
Yeah.
beside the point. They beam. It was supposed to be like like ooh like oh get out of there moment. They beam them on board. They beam them to the bridge where there's like 15 other people there, and they're beamed. They're like, oh shit, and then they have to start shooting and shooting. That's kind of how I felt with when Rand opens up the gateway and he just walks into the throne room with Robin and all of his dark friends and Shadow Spawn there, where they're just like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like they're yeah. So like we don't see that happen. We just that the chapter ends and then a few moments later, Rand is pursuing Robin in the palace. And while he's doing it, he's being attacked. Like the servants are hiding in the corner. He sees them. He's like, "Go in peace. Get to safety." And like there's Murdral and Shadow Spawn. They're trying to engage him. They can't because he's Rand. He's the Dragon
Yeah.
Reborn. And then all of a sudden he sees a beam of light. He has to hit the fucking, excuse my language. He has to hit the deck. He has to hit the deck so he doesn't get bale-fired himself. And he tries to balefire back, and there's nobody there. So it's like it's like cat and mouse. It's a cat and mouse game basically.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's like it's like because Robert Jordan was fighting in Nam. I mean, he was on a helicopter as a gunner. So I don't know how much he was in the jungle, but when you're in the jungle, you're high alert like at all times, and like
Mhm.
the enemy, the Viet Cong can jump out anywhere and shoot you and kill you
Yeah.
in a moment, in a tiny moment's notice. So that's kind of what I think Robert Jordan was trying to create here. And like just all of a sudden all of a sudden you see this beam of light coming towards you really quickly. You're like, oh shit, you know.
Yeah, there's only one thing he can do is yeah, and that it was based on instincts. And even if he himself didn't maybe necessarily experience combat in that sense, he definitely had colleagues and fellow veterans that definitely did do that. And I just thought that it was just so well done. I just loved it. And like I said, the way it all came together,
Yeah,
I thought
I did
was
not
great.
understand. So the thing was, like you said, when Magedian comes in, I didn't understand the stakes at first. I mean, I was reading this really quickly, and I didn't fully understand what was going on. Um, I thought Megaddon usurped his victory in a way, and then I listened to it again. I was on book. I think I was book 7. I was on book 7. I decided, I'm on my way home. I had nothing to listen to, and so I decided to re-listen to chapter 55, Threads Burn. And I finally I understood, and I still didn't even fully understand after listening to it. I was reading it today, preparing for this stream, the stakes that were going on. So apparently, Rand was lured into more than one trap. He was lured into a trap outside the palace with lightning and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was another trap that was laid that nearly rendered him useless in the dream world. And I didn't understand what the stakes were, because the thing was, he didn't understand how to utilize the dream world in that position. Whereas Ravin had, even though Rand had the fat man Angriel that enabled him to be stronger than Ravin, Ravin had more experience in Teleron reality, and he could manipulate things. So when Rand is inside the dream world, he gets caught in a trap to the point where all of a sudden a tank of water just appears around him, and he can't get like completely around him, like he's like in a Mario game, and he can't get out. And then all of a sudden these fish have fangs, and they're all biting him all over the place. And then he just basically he balefires them out. He balefires himself out of this situation. He's no longer in the water. He's not even wet. But then he gets caught again, and I didn't even understand it, but he was about to turn into like a werewolf, or he was about to turn into some creature, and he couldn't do anything. And that was when, and then it cuts to Nynaeve, and Nynaeve does her thing, and gets Ravin before Ravin can get him, basically. So I finally understood the stakes. So there was stakes. So I was listening to my old stream, and I was like, okay, I didn't pick up on any of this. That's why everyone was annoyed with me.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Well, because when you were doing it with people that had read the stuff before. Well, you see, the thing about, especially what you just emphasized here, is what I feel is a theme emerging, which is so obvious, that men and women have to work together. The old symbol, of the Aes Sedai, the way it used to be, it was men and women, the men power and the woman power, and that it's not one or the other, and that when men and women work together, they become very powerful. And
and the reason why the world broke, and the reason why the Dark One was able to taint Sidene, was because it was just men that went. It was Lews Therin and his companions that went to confront him, and the women didn't come with. And that's why everything went south.
Yeah,
that's why the Age of Legends ended. Because the women,
so when you try to mess with that,
the women did not help.
Happen.
The women they went off, and the women didn't. They disagreed, and the women stayed put. The fact that the women didn't help was the reason why everything went south, and the world went to shit.
Yeah, exactly. So you see, men and women, we need to work together. We're more powerful together. Steek has some good background facts here. He says the fat man Angil is Jordan putting himself in the story. Not kidding. He said so. I think he did it with another item too.
I read like, because a lot of people, I read that I read some of his like when he was doing, like when he's communicating with fans, message boards and all that. Like, a lot of people ask him what character he is his favorite, or what character he likes to be. He's like, my favorite character is the character I'm currently writing. And then someone else asked him, like, what character do you relate to the most? He's like, well, they're all, like, all the boys are aspects of my character. But if you ask my wife, Harriet, his editor, she'd say Loyal.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. And I didn't know this. Steek says that he was in the jungle. Jordan was shot down and had to get to safety on foot. Well, then that definitely sounds like the situation that Rand was in. Like, if you find yourself suddenly definitely in a position that you didn't want to be in. And yes, the whole who is the Forsaken and how they had positioned himself. He says one huge thing back into it is trying to figure out where each of them had positioned themselves. Yeah, I have reached the point where I figured out that I'm supposed to figure out when it's, well, you know, my gosh, Lanfear. The fact that anytime there's a woman who acts a little weird around Rand, I'm like, it's friggin' Lanfear. But it took me a few books to figure that out, that she would, or anyone trying to seduce him or mess with him. It's like, oops, she's coming. It's like the Jaws music happening. So
Yeah,
like,
I figured out really quickly that Selene was Lanfear while reading The Great Hunt, because, and I think this was Jordan purposely putting in obvious details, because
oh
when,
yeah.
so Selene was pretending to be attacked by this creature in the alternate world, and it's a creature that the Shanshan utilized quite a bit, but she pretended to be in danger, like a damsel in distress, and they rescue her. But then afterwards, and then Robert Jordan puts this detail in there. She walks past the dead body of the creature like it was nothing. So you knew there was more to her. And then she's, throughout the rest of the book, she's manipulating Rand, telling him, "Oh, you have this power, and you're gonna get a lot of glory, bro. You're gonna get a lot of glory,
Yeah.
and I
It
want to
was
be
so
I want to be there
obvious.
to help you. I want to be there to help you." I was like, okay, she's obviously, there's more to her than this. Like, how come all of a sudden she's in this world, and then, like, you knew there was more to her, and then the whole dark prophecy thing in the beginning of the book, in the cellars of Feldara, when where Pan Fane escapes, and the Dark Friends let in the merger and all that. You get that whole blood is blood, blood was, and blood shall ever be. And then the Great Lord comes. Of course, the Great Lord is Dark One. But back then, I didn't know who the Great Lord was when I first read it. But that was all about Lanfear, and a whole bunch of other, foreshadowing other villains. I mean, they foreshadowed in that chapter. They foreshadowed Isam, who was Slayer in the Shadow Rising, the one that Perrin fights in the Dream World.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
The
And
Land's that's Land's brother, Land's brother, half brother, I think.
yeah. Oh yeah. I still need to learn more about Land, because sometimes there's so many details that I know that I'm missing a lot of them. But how I knew Lanfear in the Dragon, well, sorry, not the Dragon Reborn, in the Great Hunt, for crying out loud, she sounded like Darth Vader. Like everything that you were saying, it's like, oh my gosh, she's saying everything but join the dark side. So you knew that there was definitely something wrong. And speaking of a dark side and who is something, Asmodean, at the end of this book, Asmodean, who killed Asmodean was a big thing, I guess. And I'm sure it is. I mean, I'm like, who killed him? At first, I thought it was Lanfear come from the other side, because I'm still, well, we know that they went through the door. I don't know who did it. And Steve said he got it right by deduction, but rereading a lot helps. Yeah, but at the end, he throws in that mystery, and it is straight out of like a bad Days of Our Lives moment, when he's like, it's you,
It's
how?
basically, no, it's even better than that. It's basically who shot JR.
Okay, who shot JR, but same
This was
idea,
who
yeah.
shot JR. Except he says he put like hints of it in the books. I mean, I accidentally I found out who it is. I won't say.
Yeah,
But
don't you dare.
it's not really.
I'll ban you from my own channel. These are the rules.
All right, I won't say nothing.
Shut up. Pardon my
I'll shut
French.
up.
But
I'll shut up.
speaking of which, this is Lanfear, yes. The great, yes, she is one. And Steek said a couple are very obvious, but some are blink and you'll miss the clue. You see, that's where I am on this first rereading. I have missed so much stuff, and I know I have, as reading it, because I'm reading it as someone like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I'm turning the page, and there might have been like some big, great revelation in a paragraph that I miss.
Maybe, I don't know.
So maybe, yeah. Well, we'll see.
It was interesting to talk about Lanfear and what she ultimately does, and how the whole thing with Moraine happens, which is pretty funny. So what leads up to that is, obviously we already talked about Avienda and Rand, in the igloo, and and then word came around that they did the deed and all that. the Hadnan Kadir and Essendra, the two dark friends that were with Lanfear and Asmodean, or Jason the Tail, and Lanfear plays a fatty. Lanfear plays an ugly
Yeah,
little
she was that
fatty.
one. Yeah, and they ended up all getting
It was
killed with
a very George R. R. Martin chapter. It was very dark. Like it ends with him. It ends with Kadir murdering Essendra. So Essendra, remember, Essendra is the dark friend woman that
sleep.
tries to sleep with Rand. She keeps trying to
Yeah.
sneak into his bed, and the maidens basically take her out. They call her what the hell? Uh, the Gasta, or no? What's the word that they call for like an untouchable? It's like punishment or something.
Oh,
Um,
Jato or something, maybe? I don't
no,
know.
Jato is their honor system.
Oh, it's the honor system that makes them have to do
The
certain things.
the Gasta.
Yeah.
Let
But
me
I
look.
know they beat the crap out of
They
her, but
beat the crap out of her. They strip her naked, and and um, so apparently, so what happened was, because of the fact that Lanfear looked like a fatty, this Essendra woman is a beauty, and so she basically mocks her with the way she looks at her, and of course
yeah.
Lanfear, being the bitch that she is, didn't take kindly to that, so she took jewelry she took jewelry and planted it on Essendra, where the women, the maidens of the spear, found it, and they beat her, and you know and stripped her of her clothes. She had to walk around naked with that, in shame, basically.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you don't mess with Lanfear, or definitely don't mess with Rand, because what made her totally lose her crap was when she found out through that wagon dude, I forget his name,
Kadir,
that that they'd done the
Kadir
nasty.
murders her. So Kadir ultimately murders her because she just freaks out. They cut
Oh
her
yeah, her,
hair.
yeah.
She's like, I just, and what I loved about that chapter was he was recounting his past on how he became a dark friend and the circumstances behind that. So as he's strangling Essendra to death, he's recalling him murdering his own sister. I thought that was clever and just chilling.
Dark as hell. Well, these people are
Yes.
evil, and I like that about Robert Jordan, that he definitely has, there is definite good and there's definite evil, and that once you go, if you will, to the dark side, you will do a lot of evil things, that your conscience and stuff, that it's like you're tainted. Your conscience is tainted, and you will go from progression to progression. But that whole climax thing that happened, I love it. It's like something exploded, and what it was well, because Lanfear, when he found out that this chick had sex with Rand, I mean, that was the angriest, of course, she's ever been. The pure proof is that hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and she tortured what Avienda and Egwene. Is like, which one of you is Avienda? And tortured both of them. And she
Yeah.
never was able to even get to the point where she was able to figure out which one boinked him, because Moraine came in and did her Gandalf moment. But I thought that that was really kinda awesome, because I don't like Lanfear, and the way that she was so pissed off, and I would have loved it if before she died, we'd have had the opportunity for Aviendha to go, "It was me. I fucked him, and it was fantastic." But, of course but, of course, that's not the way it all went down, but if they were able to communicate with the great beyond. But that was a great moment of sacrifice, if you will, for Moraine. That was the only way it was going to end. She had told Rand that there were three possibilities, that it had been revealed to her that there were three possibilities for what was going to happen. That she was going to end up going through the little doorway with Lanfear, and they were going to go into some kind of weird great beyond, which I don't know yet. And no one's allowed to say, or I will ban you for life. Or two, Rand, I guess, would have died. Rand would have
Yeah.
died. The third one would have been that Rand would have joined Lanfear, and they would have together made the Empire great. So that was the only way for it to work out. And since we know that the Dragon Reborn Rand is supposed to be destined to go to Armageddon or Tarmageddon, whatever you we all know it's Armageddon. That that happened, Ragnarok, all of those great end of time myths. So, but it was still very brave of her to do that. But then again, on the other hand, that was her mission, I guess, was to make sure that Tarmageddon was going to happen. So I guess her sacrificing her life shouldn't be a big surprise.
Yeah, and the reason why Moraine had to step in was because Rand froze up, because he's not gonna attack a woman.
Yes, that was the thing. He almost died because he wouldn't hit a girl.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Pretty much. And so she's like, okay, well, I'm going to kill you slowly, and that's what gave Moraine the time to take her down, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt's the same way too. Matt can't, like, he in the Dragon Reborn, they had all these assassins engage them when they were on the road, and it was Tom that had to kill the woman, had to kill the female Darkfront, because Matt also froze up.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the and here it even goes earlier in Eye of the World, when Rand is getting sick because of the fact that he channeled. He's getting channel sickness because he was in that inn, and the Darkfronts cornered them in the inn. There's the inn where they were playing instruments, and they were making money and all that. Because they got cut off from Tom. Tom was gone at that point, and he ended up getting channel sickness as a result. They get cornered by another dark friend while he's sick, and it was Matt that stepped up and saved his life. But at the same time, he basically, instead of killing the girl that tried to murder both of them, he just locked her in the barn. And let's just say that has consequences.
Yeah.
Because the woman's the dark friend's a murderer, and we do see her again.
Dun, dun, dun. Of course, obviously, I can't read all of the comments that Stieg is saying, but that is a reference to the movie. There was a movie where, what's his name? Says, which hand did you touch me? But yes, it goes there. And when it comes to evil, show, don't tell. Yes, Jordan does that very well. And he's talking about Odin. This is the myth connections. Odin gets reborn before Ragnarok after being hanged from a tree and losing an eye for wisdom. Oh, that's why he has a patch or whatever. Odin also wears a hat, uses a spear, and associated with ravens. Sound like a certain character. Oh, so you're saying that Matt is Odin, or okay, applicable to Odin. Obviously, it's not a one-to-one comparison, but that's very interesting. See, I'm not as familiar with a lot of this, but wow. Well, there we go.
Yeah, Matt's supposed to be Odin, Perrin's supposed to be Thor, and I forget, Rand's supposed to be another Nordic god, I guess. I forget which one.
I don't know either. Okay, Steek says, yeah. I'm also thinking now we know why they didn't swap Matt.
Well, think of the prophecy that Matt gets. I don't remember if it's from the eelfin or the elfin, but he loses. He gives up half the light.
Oh, you're right. That was the thing. Steek is saying that. Okay, and I'm always scared.
Rand is Tyr. Okay, I don't know anything about Tyr. I'm guessing Tyr was a. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm always afraid to try to pronounce any of those things in his presence. But yay! So that all puts all those pieces together, and there's a coda to what happened with Morghese. We didn't say that she did finally figure out that Raven, or Gabriel, or whatever his name was, her lover, was compelling her, and so she ended up leaving with her old nursemaid, I guess, and ends up in Altara to form an alternate kind of kingdom. Like, she's like, I'm going to get my kingdom back, but she's rallying people to her there, or rather she's going to reestablish herself there. But people think that she's dead, but she isn't dead. She actually snuck out. So
I was kind of disappointed with that. It's it's one of those cases where you think the character's safe, but then the villain is usually, a couple steps ahead. So
Hmm.
I was kind of expecting her to get caught, and
Ah.
I thought it would have been interesting, but again, Rand already froze up with Lanfear. So, I mean, imagine Robin, you know, using Morghese as a human shield, and then
Mm.
compulsing her to attack Rand, and Rand can't really do anything. I don't
Ah.
know.
That could have been cool, but having already started the next book, I know why that it didn't go down like that because of the storyline where Morghese is going. But
The
I'm
Morghese that storyline is well.
well, it is what it
I mean,
is.
I'm on book 8, and it's not the best in my
It's
opinion.
a thing. All right. And then last but certainly not least, we haven't talked about Swan, the Namorum seat that was the fact that she was able to escape and she's been stilled, but she found the rest of the Aes Sedai, like the alternate Aes Sedai. I'm always thinking like you have the Rome, which is Tar-Valon, and then you had the Avignon papacy, which happened during the Great Schism.
I
So
never, I
that
didn't think of it that way. And this was, I read the In Between Two Fires. It's a recent book it's a horror book. I don't know if I told you about that. It's a horror book that was written by, I forget the name of the author. It came out a few years ago, but it takes place during the Black Death.
ah
And the Black Death is not caused by what we believe in history to be caused. It was caused by God steps aside, and all the fallen angels come to Earth, and they start causing or messing with things. And the Black Death was the amalgamation of fallen angels coming to Earth and screwing things up. And
oh
I think one of the main fallen angels, it wasn't Lucifer, it was someone else, actually takes control of the Avignon Pope,
yeah, because yeah,
or replaces or captures the Avignon Pope, replaces him, and poses as him, and it becomes like a kaiju type of battle in a way.
oh well,
Everything
cool.
it's yeah, it's a horror. So there's angels, and there's man eating creatures, demon eating man eating creatures that spun because of that. Sorry, I know we're talking about Wheel of Time, but when you said
Avignon.
the goal of our characters is to escort this girl to Avignon to stop this thing that's
Stop.
happening.
Yeah,
These fallen
well,
angels.
precisely. And Stig says what was established was the Alt Sedai, though, of course, what they would say is very much like what happened with the whole Avignon situation and versus Rome is that both of them thought they were real. You know, that the Alt Sedai, if you will, the Avignon papacy people, they're like the real thing, and the invalid Amerlin seat, if you will, is in
Tarvalon.
Tar-Valon because there's been enough said that obviously it wasn't done above board when the way that Swanson, I forget how I say her last name, the way that she was removed and Elida made Amerlin in her place. So yeah, so you have they're in southern France, aka, and if you even look at the geography, the proximity of Rome to the southern France is very similar in the map. I am not at all saying that that was Robert Jordan's intention. That's just a coincidence that I've seen, but that's one way that helps me understand it. So yeah,
Well,
so a
I mean, yeah, the
third of
Aes
the Aes Sedai are
Sedai.
down there.
Yeah, the Aes. No, I think you're spot on, and I didn't even realize this until, I mean, like, a lot of the world of Wheel of Time is, in a lot of ways, I mean, it's a mirror of our world, and it takes place over the course of 3,000 years, maybe a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more, which is about as long as human civilization's been around. So only difference is we didn't have flying cars, or it wasn't a futuristic thing 3,000 years ago for us, but
Or so we think, all
or
those
so
pyramid things. Yeah, but that's
or
another
so
story.
or
That's
so we
another story.
think, but the one thing that has stuck around for the past couple thousand years, the one institution, is the Aes Sedai. I mean, the Aes Sedai were around for the entire 3,000 years. What
Mm-hmm.
institution has survived for, well, not 3,000 years, but for 2,000 years? The Catholic
Uh-huh.
Church. So, and
Yep.
it's lived through the changes of nations, through great wars, and everything. So, yeah, I mean
It's
it's
the one constant. And of course, though he himself was not a Roman Catholic, he was a high Anglican Episcopalian. So I don't know about his opinions about maybe that, but definitely
and
that would be something he'd
he
be
was a
aware of.
self-proclaimed monarchist too.
He was a monarchist.
He is a self-proclaimed monarchist.
See, that makes sense considering knowing what I know about his religious beliefs, that you would probably see that in a high church Episcopalian church here in America. But flying cars, or rather carts, are described in Hindu scripture, says Steve. Some in the Atlantis myth too. Lots of weird stuff. Yeah. And there's even some stuff in the Old Testament that's a little trippy. So definitely these are all things that he would have been aware of when he wrote this stuff. So I think it's just really a lot of fun and I like it. And I do like what's going on with Swan and all of them. There were yellow ones there, and the way they find each other. And at the end of the book, Nynaeve and all of them end up there as well. So that's where their chess pieces are. And that's, I guess, what I wanted to say as we get toward the denouement here is people went from point A to point B in this. We saw Rand, he went and he defeated the bad guy. That was the other thing. Matt was the one who ended up beheading the guy whose name I don't pronounce, the false dragon guy, the guy that was pretending to have him on his tattoos.
Cooladin. That was
Ideal.
Cooladin.
Thank you.
That was something I was disappointed in. I was expecting like a duel, like a fight.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting like a Star Wars type of duel, and they did it off screen. So, yeah, I was actually that was when I was reading the battle, the Kyrian battle, I was hoping that it would end with that basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about it. I was like, I have an even better idea. I was hoping that they would, because I mean, Matt in this group sees, Cooladin and a few of his men, sneaking, trying to approach Rand and trying to, approach Rand to kill him, to assassinate him, basically. And they, instead of him killing Cooladin off screen, because I'll be honest, like if we didn't see Cooladin at all in like the last couple books, and he was just a nobody character, and that's what everybody was trying to tell me, was that he's a nobody character. And in this case, I guess, I mean, I knew he was going to die in this book. I was hoping that we get something more fulfilling, because like when we finally get back to Rand on chapter 20, which is the Jane Kai Pass, and the sheer terror that they put those people through. I was hoping I was almost like Ramsay Bolton level type of terror, like Game of Thrones grimdark type of terror. So I was hoping for something a little bit more satisfying for the reader. But I thought another idea, which I think would have been very good, and it would have actually linked up with Lord of Chaos really well, was, what Rand started doing? Rand started being the law. He started, when people started, doing bad stuff, he'd hang them. He started hanging people.
Mm.
I think the match should have caught Cooladin, and then we see him be condemned by Rand, and then of course Cooladin would still try to do the false dragon thing and say, hey, I'm still the real dragon, you're nothing, and then as he's doing it mid-sentence, Rand hangs him basically.
Nice.
Him.
Yeah. Well,
then,
who knows? Maybe they had something like that, but maybe his editor's like, hey, we got too much stuff going on here. We need to wrap this up, kid.
Or maybe he just didn't think it was a good idea, or maybe he didn't even think of it. This is just something I thought, and I thought because it was already set up that Rand was doing all this stuff, and and I don't know. I thought it would have been a little bit more satisfying than what we got. I know a lot of everybody disagrees with that, but yeah, that's just how I felt about it.
Oh, I understand. I didn't mind, and I actually thought it was kind of cool because I'm seeing Matt kind of come into his own. And Steve even says Matt's story gets really great in the next few books, except where he's completely left out. Oh boy, we have a whole book without Matt.
Yeah, that's the book I'm currently reading.
Ah, well, there we go. Because I think that, he was pretty epic there, and he was
the best part of the last of book 7, in my opinion.
Ah,
So
interesting.
you know how people say, this, like some people, like our friends the White Cloaks, will say, "Oh, the slog isn't real." The slog is real. The story slows to a crawl. I mean, a lot of people are okay with it. But I'm just saying, the story
Okay.
slows to a crawl in book 7. I mean,
I'll
even a
wait.
little bit in book 6, but yeah, it might.
Okay. I will see how I feel about it and see where I land on it. So yeah, so that is we took care of that villain. Matt is like, yay. Matt still, of course, he's a military genius, but how much of it is his past life coming through and all that? But either way, he's now got his big band of merry men or band of the hand. And then we have, of course, Rand going from point A to point B in the sense of that he had those victories. He is now, woo, I'm where the crown is there in Cairn, but if he's not sitting on the throne of Morghese. He's respecting that he has his own little chair near there because he's, I guess, as far as he knows, that Elaine is now the queen of these areas. And then he announces an amnesty. So he is going to invite men who channel. Woo, yay. So we have that at the end, that big shocker. Moraine, where does she end up? Well, she ends up with Lanfear in the Great Beyond or wherever they went through that little arch thing. And I thought it was interesting that it was still smoking afterwards, but it was gone. And
Hmm.
until you see bodies, no one's really dead. So wherever they are, but it was so powerful, whatever dimension they went into, that Lan had his connection cut, and he already had a new Aes Sedai who he's warded to, but he doesn't know yet. So he left, going out trying to find the chick who he has been connected to, that Moraine did, kind of against his, not against his will, but she kind of informed him of the fact. So, so Lan's off doing that. Nynaeve and all of them are with the Avignon papacy. I'm trying to think. Oh, yes, with Swan, and Morghese is doing her little, oh my gosh, I'm the queen in exile. Have I left anybody out? I think I got everyone. Well, because Lanfear, I mean, I'm going to kind of miss her, but I don't know if she's going to be coming back wherever she is. You know, Asmodean was sent to the Great Beyond, and we got rid of Robin. And I think we only have left 4 or 5 of the Forsaken. Oh no, soap opera as hell with the land stuff. Oh dear.
Hmm.
Like Sans,
Yeah,
yeah.
he said. Yeah, I'm trying to look right now. I'm trying to look right now what Land said. It was beautifully written. How he reacts to Moraine's death or something.
Oh, oh, okay. And so, well, you're looking that up here. Seek says, I never felt there was a crawl. Yeah, so it's interesting. Maybe we'll feel differently when we get to the end. More like less physical action. The crawl events are vital to the final book, so can't spoil it. Okay, and maybe that's why maybe people forgive the quote unquote crawl because they have the benefit of hindsight. So, yeah, I thought it was all very well done with Moraine. And I don't know if I assume that he's been warded to Nynaeve because that's his one true love. So if that's not the case, that would be really dumb. Um, so I don't know.
I found it. You mind if
Yeah,
I read what Land says?
go for it.
So Rand says, "I'm sorry, Land. If I'd been faster, if I'd." And then he's like, Land's like, "The wheel weaves. She was a soldier, a warrior in her way as much as I. This could have happened 200 times these past 20 years. She knew it, and so did I. It was a good day to die. Still, I'm
Oh,
sorry. I should have." And then he says, "I hope you can still be my friend, Land. I value your counsel and your sword train. I'll need both in the days to come." And this is what he says: "I am your friend. I am your friend, Rand, but I cannot stay. Moraine did something to me that has not been done in hundreds of years. Not since the time when Aes Sedai still sometimes bonded a warder, whether he wanted it or not. She altered my bond so it passed to another when she died. Now I must find that other, become one of her warders. I am one already. I can feel her faintly, somewhere far to the west, and she can feel me. I must go, Rand. It is part of what Moraine did. She said she would not allow me time to die avenging her. If you ever see Nynaeve again, tell her a clean wound heals quickest and pains shortest. Tell her I found someone else. Green sisters are sometimes as close to their warders as other women are to husbands in every way. Tell her I've gone to a green sister's lover as well as her sword. These things happen. It has been a long time since I've seen her and everything.
Hmm.
And he's like, we are alike in many ways, you and I. There is a darkness in us, darkness, pain, death. They radiate from us. If you ever love a woman, Rand, leave her and let her find another. It will be the best gift you can give her. Peace favor your sword, Tyshar Manethrin. And he salutes. And then Tyshar
Whoa.
Malkier. Yeah. The
Yeah.
last embrace of the mother welcome you homeland. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's pretty cool. Maybe they'll get rid. He'll get rid of Nynaeve because I don't know. That doesn't seem like him though. Because if he gave her his ring, that meant something.
Yeah, and if Nynaeve were there, you know what she'd do?
She'd
Slug
kick
him.
his butt.
She'd slug him. Yeah.
Yeah.
If she heard that. So, yeah. So, yeah. Gotta keep
Yeah.
reading.
Steve said that's why it's not Naive. It's a green. I said, I think I know enough to know that I was hoping it was Nynaeve, but that's just too obvious.
Yeah.
Even though
So,
Nynaeve, I have issues with, but I told you I like her better after she messed up so badly with Birgitta and feels guilty about it.
yeah. So,
Yes.
so we meet General Bashir at the very end, right before the book ends. So,
Oh.
so I don't know if you know that's Fael's father.
Oh, I didn't make that connection. No. Oh,
Yeah.
that's gonna
And
be something.
and so he shows up with his people from Saldea, with his troops, and yeah, that's when Rand basically gives out he sends out the order for for amnesty for all the male channelers and stuff. So yeah, so this is where things start. This is where he starts to Rand is starting to consolidate his power now. So now he has Caemlyn and Kyrian and Tyr, but he doesn't really go to Tyr that much. But he has those three places that he can that's his power base right now.
Wow. Well, okay. I guess I didn't make that connection. That makes it even more epic, especially when he was like, "These horses are yours," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" I thought that was epic. I didn't make the connection with Fael. Seek says duty is heavier than a mountain. It applies here. Darn right.
Yep. Then said that. Lance said that in The Great Hunt, my favorite book.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Yeah. There's nothing worse in this life than being someone that has to do the right thing. It's been the bane of my existence. It's like if only I was a selfish, terrible person and could do the wrong thing. Wouldn't that be great? But yeah. Of course, at the end of the day, it wouldn't make you happy, and you know that. But part of you is like, damn it, why do I have to be so loyal, dutiful, and all that? So I can completely relate to Lan on all of this. And Steve likes Bashir, and so is his wife. Alrighty. Well, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to bring attention to?
Well, we talked about mentioned Jane Kai passed, and the that, and of course we talked a little bit about the battle. So Matt did his thing. Rand was doing all the directing, and he was also he was channeling with a few other people, and there's actually a moment where Samael shows up. At least he thinks it's Samael, and Samael basically attacks the built platform he was on, and it kills a whole bunch of the maidens. And one thing we know about Rand was, once again, he freezes up when it comes to when there's the idea of him having to hurt a woman, but then he's devastated when a woman has to die for him, and that's how he
Mm,
feels about the maidens and all that. Um,
yeah.
and there was one issue that I did have. They kind of copied, they redid, they copied and Jordan copied and pasted an equivalent ambush. So apparently there was another moment where the drag car came in at night and tried to assassinate him in Avienda this time, because that happened at the end of. It also happened at Cold Rock's home in the Shadow Rising, um, when when it came and it killed this guy Shine, and it killed one of the wise women, one of the wise ones. Um, but in that book, it was Asmodean that sent the drag car and sent the Trollocs, the Shell Spawn, to attack. I don't know who sent this. I don't know if it was Lanfear that did that or if it was someone else, Samuel or something. But yeah, there's like a moment where, like, is Samuel going to be the main villain because he's sending troops to he's sending Shadow Spawn to attack Matt and all that. We didn't talk about Melindra. Remember Melindra? She's the IEL that just says, "Hey, Matt." She's like, "Hey, you're Matt,
Oh,
right?
yes.
You're kind of short, but you know what? I want to f you," and they do.
Yes. I did at first I didn't think because of all the different names, but of course she was very accommodating to Matt. And I should have seen it coming from a miles away that, of
Yeah,
course, who is the person that's the bad guy? How do you get to the dude through not his brain? And of course, it turned out that she was an assassin working, a dark friend, I guess, right?
yeah, Dark Friend,
And
yeah,
she technically, though I don't know if that's what they would call her, and then yeah, she tried to kill him and he had to stab her through the heart to save his life, and he felt awful, not because, oh, I just killed the chick who I was sleeping with and was my lover, but also because, well, he didn't want to kill a girl, but he did. He had to. It was self-defense. What a bitch.
yeah. So basically, yeah. So he's just like, "Hey, I'm going to be leaving. We're going to Camelin. We're going to Camelin to attack." And then that's when Melindra just basically attacks him, and she nearly kills him.
Yeah,
She nearly
nearly
kills
works.
him, and I didn't realize this. I was re-looking at some of the older chapters. I mean, not I didn't read them. I don't have time to read them, so I was looking at some of the summaries, and even that moment where he saves his own life by killing her, offing her, was set up earlier. So I think it was the when we meet him in this book, for the first time in his first chapter. He is basically, he's basically doing knife throwing, and he's like, I can hit that target with my eyes closed and all that. Well, this was the payoff. He takes one of his throwing knives and manages to kill her before she can kill him in a
Mm,
moment's notice. So, yeah,
I
so
know.
it's a good thing to have throwing knives on you, especially if you're being killed. And this is here's the thing, that he had to do it because, like, I think this was also something like he was like, he does not want to, like I said earlier, him and Rand
They don't
do
want to
not
kill
naturally
girls.
attack women.
Women. Yeah.
So I have to reread that to see. I don't know if he closed his eyes when he did that, um, but he just yeah,
He definitely felt awful.
he had to make a decision, or she would have killed him.
Yeah. It's definitely something that, well, obviously they don't want to do, and I think it's telling you that this world or this conflict that they're in, it really is life or death, and that often in situations of war, you have to do things that you don't want to do. I definitely know that anyone that I personally have known that has been in a war, from my grandfather to my uncle, people that were in Vietnam, people that were over in Afghanistan, they hated killing people, and that they sometimes had to, God forbid, kill the young, because of the nature of the fighting, the way that they would use it. And so no one likes to kill who's not a beast. Obviously, a lot of people do lose that. So you see that the reluctance and how awful that they feel, and the fact that they know that even that they're in a war, even though they know it's going to be a fight to the death, they still feel like there are rules, there's honor, and one of the most honorable things. I mean, I remember my dad just still is one of those that will say till the cows come home, you never hit a woman, and that I don't know if that's so much nowadays, but it definitely is a thing. And I feel really bad for Matt. I felt really bad for him, and I love him, and I want him to be my husband. So there.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the woman of the 9 moons or whatever that's going to get him, or the daughter of the 9 moons. I forget
Yeah,
what her name is.
I like how he asks everyone. Like he's like freaking out because he's freaking out about that prophecy. He's asking everyone. He asks everyone like, "Are you familiar with the daughter of the 9 moons?" And he's like, "No." And they're like, "No." He's like, "Thank God."
Yeah, every pretty woman he sees, he always asks.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, good stuff. So, as far as your rating for the book, I think it's harder to rate these books as we get further on because I'm feeling a bit guilty about my rating. I didn't know if you would give a rating for this out of 10.
Oh, I mean, I think it was written well. There was some really good. There's some really good moments I really liked. But out of all the books, this might be my least favorite of them all.
Interesting.
It was just a lot. There was just I was it was the initial read was disappointing, and I honestly wasn't sure if I wanted to continue. It took me months to get to want to read Lord of Chaos.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Yeah, so I read Lord of Chaos. I actually really liked Lord of Chaos. So you're gonna you I'm just gonna say you're gonna the end the so I was worried that everybody was kind of giving me was selling me a lemon with this series, lemon like a car, and all that. I was worried that everyone was selling me a lemon. In some ways, I still kind of feel that way, but everybody was like hyping up Lord of Chaos.
Yeah.
And I read and I was like, okay. And I was like, I don't know if this is my favorite book. And they're like, no, wait till the ending. And then I read the last few chapters. I was like, oh, this is something I was waiting for a long time. A real sense of
Oh.
stakes. And I won't say what it is because you'll ban me forever.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, I can't wait. Well, the reason I feel guilty is I probably give this a 7 out of 10, even though I've said everything that I've said. I think this is probably the lowest rating I've given because I have to be honest with myself. The fact that even though my life had things happen, the fact that I was able to step away from it in the middle, I shouldn't have been able to step away. And so I got to say, okay, there was something going on that wasn't quite making it up to the level, or at least my interest. Maybe this isn't a fair review. I'm just saying this is how I feel. So I give it a 7 out of 10. But I loved the way it ended, and I'm the opposite of you. After the ending, I was like, "Holy crap!" I told you I'm already 300 pages into the next book. I immediately went to the next book. I couldn't wait. And he says, "The Lord of Chaos has a psychotic ending." Yeah, I've heard a lot about the ending of it, and I can't wait to get there. And if I keep going at this pace that I am, I'll probably get there by next week, and I can't wait. But I just can't feel like it would be fair for me to give it a higher rating because there were parts of it, like it all came together, but there were parts of it that I felt were flawed. My
Yeah, I didn't really care for the Suwan parts at all. Like, I don't know. I thought of a better story myself in my head. I didn't. I was struggling through that portion.
Yeah. I kind of like her though, the way she is now. I like her much better now that she's not the Amerlin seat anymore. Yes, I think this is more a question for you, and you need to be cryptic, of course. But saying is havoc a key word? Well, if the book is called Lord of Chaos, I guess. But I'm afraid you guys are going to spoil anything that you say, so I'll just wait for it all to happen. But if you're talking about mythology, and I know neither of you can say anything, there's always Loki, and isn't he the one, the mischief maker? But I don't know if that's even connected, and I'm just pulling things out of my buttocks. Well, alrighty. Well, Thank you everyone for being here. I love talking about these books, and I can't wait till I finish all 14 because I definitely will be bringing on a whole bunch of people who don't have to worry about saying things that are going to spoil this once I finally reach the ending. I really, really can't wait, and I really can't wait to see the reviews and all the content and even the interviews with Robert Jordan. I'm very afraid to watch any interviews, even though we know he passed away, but I don't know how many spoilers I might get if I listen to that. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. I just think it's so much fun what we're going through, and that even though fantasy in many ways sucks nowadays, we can always go backward and find these great stories.
Yeah, yeah, I know. A lot of people online have been sharing, their favorite series. I downloaded a whole bunch of first books in several series. So, yeah, I mean, the goal for me is to finish the Wheel of Time this year, and I want to get through the slog, so 8, 9, and 10
Mm-hmm.
before the summer ends. That
Wow.
that's the goal. And the slog, yeah, like I've been very slow. I finished A Crown of Swords back in April before I went to Japan.
Mm.
It's already late June, and I'm not even halfway through Path of Daggers yet, and I still have to read that, Winter's Heart, and Crossroad Twilight. Crossroad Twilight's the one that everybody talks about as the worst of the series.
Mm.
So
Well, we'll see who gets there first. Would it be weird if I pass you? That would be wild.
I have to make sure that doesn't. I have to make sure.
Oh, there you go. There we go. I will be
Game
very
on.
passive
You should
aggressive.
go with me. Say, hey, I'm on chapter. I finished this book, and then I'll be like, then my competitive nature will kick in, and I'll have to start. And I'll start reading myself just to
Yeah. Okay, so
respond to
everyone,
that.
you can thank me. I'm the one that's keeping him reading because he doesn't want me to finish before him. I stand corrected. You see, I knew that Stieg, you would help me. Loki is sealed inside a cave when Ragnarok begins and breaks free. He's the dark one. Ah, there. If there's a connection, okay, there we go. And of course, Stieg is saying, read the First Law series by Joe Abercrombie.
I bought
You'll
I
like it.
bought I bought the series on Kindle. So yeah.
Woo! Oh, there we are. So, Nerdporeal, Brian, what's coming up for you?
So I'm doing a Friday night, 9 p.m. I'm doing a Chilporial. I'm bringing back my buddy who I got to meet in Japan, Angry Canadian. So
Ooh.
me and him are going to talk about, like, he was basically my host for almost the entire trip. So like there were days where he had to go to work, so I was by myself. But he was the person I spent majority of my time with and everything. So I'm gonna have him on talk a little bit about that. And he told me about a series called Dinotopia, because he's a big fan of dinosaurs and all that. So he told me about this mini series that came out in the early 2000s called Dinotopia. And I've heard of it, but I never watched it. So now I'm watching. We're gonna talk about it. He told me about this on the trip, and so now I'm watching it and everything. So yeah, so it's gonna be very dino. It's gonna be very dino centric. I'm actually playing the game Dino Crisis, which is it's basically old Resident Evil, but with dinosaurs. It's like Jurassic Park. It's a horror game. It's a survival horror, but instead of zombies trying to eat you, it's velociraptors and T-Rexes trying to eat you
Ah,
on an island with a lab and all that. So it's lots of jump scares and everything. I don't know if you've ever played PlayStation back in the day, but yeah, that's one that's what
okay.
I'm currently playing.
So everyone sub to him, and I'll feel free to put your link in the chat. You do have a wrench, and let me see. I have a new channel. I've moved my Catholic material over to Catholic Splaining. So if you liked, if anyone watching now or on the replay wants my Catholic content, it is now over there. Though I'm leaving the content here on Mr. Martin Muses that was here, but all my Catholic stuff is over there now. And I dropped a few F bombs today, which so it's probably a good thing. I feel badly because I gave it up for
True,
Lent.
a true Catholic, a true Catholic.
A true Catholic, yeah. But hey, I dropped F bombs that I did not break the second commandment.
So I
Go
gotta,
ahead.
I have to ask. Are you gonna do any daytime? Are you gonna do any daytime streams
Well, I
this week
have
or
been.
next week?
I don't know. Is there a reason?
No, yeah, because I'm at work. I need something to listen to. I need someone to listen to.
Oh, okay. I thought just the way you were very specific. Yes, when I can, I do. I did one on Monday, and I forget what happened yesterday. It just really depends. I've been trying to do my streams every day, at least usually Monday through Thursday, and I'll probably be doing one tomorrow. So I will let you know, or make sure that the bell is on so that you can get them. For a while, I was actually setting my alarm and getting up early to do them, but I chose to stop doing that because, well, things have happened and my knee hurts, and I've been staying up late playing Red Dead Redemption. Actually, if you like Red Dead Redemption, or if you like games, if you have not played Red Dead Redemption 2, rather, you need to, because I cried so hard it was ridiculous. And I thought it was just a meme that people were faking, but no, it was so good. And we will be doing, Steve and I are going to be doing a stream on that when we can make our schedule work out.
Yeah, and
So
I own it. I own it for PlayStation 4. I haven't finished it yet. I love the first game though. I played the first game a long time ago.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh.
felt yeah. I was super duper upset at the fate of our protagonist in
Mm-hmm.
Red Dead Redemption. So I was surprised.
Yeah. Well, Red Dead Redemption 2 is sadder than Red Dead Redemption 1. And then the
Really,
music is, oh gosh, I did the ugly cry. I mean, it's ridiculous because I should have filmed myself, because you know how everyone went viral filming themselves crying at Red Dead Redemption 2. That was me. Sieg is recommending the new Jurassic Park survival game. It's out soon. It looks really cool. Okay, well, hopefully it will be.
I bought myself a 4K. I bought myself the 4K steel box of the OG trilogy. Not no
Ooh.
Jurassic World crap. Jurassic World Rebirth, Jurassic World Dominion, Jurassic World. Why the hell not? Let's keep making Jurassic Worlds forever, because we just need to milk this franchise like every other franchise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Well, speaking of something that has not been milked, I wanted to save this best news for the end. This is the first time on Miss Martin Muses that we have celebrated the cancellation of the Pretender. The unwheel of time, the wheel of prime, is no more.
It's no more.
Schadenfreude all over the place. If only they had listened, but of course they can't.
So, there's a funny there's a satirical account on X right now called Fitzy the Dog. Fitzy the Dog is just it makes daily memes blasting that show and all of its stupidity. I would suggest following. It's the account's called at a dog named Fitzy, Fitzy.
Okay. All right. So if you want to see the wheels of prime being made fun of, I that it, they deserved it. The only people I feel sorry for are like the crew and all that. Hey, they're just trying to make a paycheck. But the writers and the very, very prideful and disrespectful showrunner, they deserve what they get. I mean, you reap what you sow.
Yep, Rafe lost that, and he had a God of War gig. He lost that. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you can't take something this beautiful and just desecrate it the way he did. It's just, it's such a waste, though. The fact that the money that they spent and all of that, and because they did this so badly, if we want to get a proper Wheel of Time adaptation, it'll be years and years and years.
yeah. And a lot of people were really salty about that. I left an X comment saying, now we can heal, and people got really pissed at me for that. Um,
Ooh.
and a lot of people there's different takeaways from that. There are people that will like any adaptation no matter what, because they feel like they're getting it's they feel like it's better to get something, even if it's shit,
No.
than nothing. I'd rather get nothing than
Yeah.
get shit. I'd rather get no food than eat shit food.
Yeah. I mean, I would rather make little stick people and act it out myself with my Star Wars action figures than watch that garbage. Mine
It
would
would
be
be
more
it would be ten
entertaining
it
and
would be
more true
ten
to the
times it
story.
would be 10 times better.
It would be. And I
And
could just film it.
your stick figures are already offended that you even lump them with the show.
There you go. There you go.
The
Yes,
ship
Steve is
stains.
right.
Yeah,
Some of
you're
these
right.
things obviously you can't. Yeah.
Yep.
And Steve is yeah, the people that are cheering for it. Yeah. Oh,
I mean, I mean, I mean, just, I always end, anytime I respond, I'm just like, okay, go and enjoy. I'm not stopping you. Enjoy your slop. You
yeah.
know,
And if you
You-
don't like what I'm saying, mute me or block
yeah,
me.
the quality. I mean, yeah, the quality of the show, the quality of the show is almost proportional to the quality of the fan.
Mm,
You
yeah.
know, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, and I might make a video about it eventually, but it's old news now about what Brandon Sanderson said, which knowing him, this is equivalent of him having a meltdown because, he's always so polite when he said,
He
when
gets
someone asked
he's
him about yeah,
he
when they
gets
asked him,
salty. He gets very
yes,
salty.
he does. And, that's
He
not
does it.
really
He does it in
his,
he does it in a nice guy way, but he gets salty. Like, he's a big fan of games like Elden Ring and Dark Souls,
yeah,
and they went and asked George R. R. Martin to write a story or do the world building, and he's just like, what the hell? I'm the one that plays the games. I'm the one that knows this. I'm the one that knows this. So he got really salty about that. That they went to
yeah,
George R. R. Martin to do world building for Elden Ring instead of him. So, but yeah,
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 that's
and
the
he's
way,
yeah, it's like, yeah, he's just like, they never asked me.
yeah.
You should have
Well,
asked.
yeah, what he said, I never asked him about this, but about the cancellation. Someone asked him what he thought about the cancellation of the Wheel of Prime, and he said, I wasn't really involved. Don't know anything more than what is public. They told me they were renegotiating and thought it would work out. Then I heard nothing for 2 months. Then learned this from the news like everyone else. I do think it's a shame, as while I had my problems with the show, it had a fan base who deserved better than a cancellation after the best season. I won't miss being largely ignored. They wanted my name on it for legitimacy, but not to involve me in any meaningful way, which was for him, wow. You
Yeah,
know, that's pretty stern.
yeah, because he did he brought up the, oh, it was, he brought up, oh, they shouldn't have been canceled, but he brought that up. They brought
Mm,
up, they should have involved me, or they didn't involve me and everything. So yeah, I mean, he did finish the story.
yeah. I mean, he's basically the person that they should have, but with the fact that he's saying I was being ignored, they just wanted my name on it. It's like, wow, yeah. So he's not crying any tears for them either. And the fact that he found out about it at the same time in the same way that we found out about it, they didn't give a crap about him.
Yeah, and I mean, if you like, there's I mean, the White Cloaks and Prophet, they had a lot of viewers when they did a reaction to Brandon Sanderson and Daniel Green and the guy from Dusty Wheel, I don't remember his name, watching in Sanderson's little theater that he has in his house, or his castle, or I don't know, his
Yeah.
castle, and
It's definitely a castle, a mansion, is Mormon
yeah,
mansion.
yeah, he definitely his castle. Watching the finale of season 2 of The Wheel of Prime, and Sanderson's just like tearing that crap apart from limb to limb, to the point where Daniel Green's kind of going along with him, and then the Dusty Wheel guy is just like, "How can you say that?" He's just like, "I
Mm,
don't agree with you. How can you say, like, who the hell are you, dude? You're nothing compared to Sanderson. People are
yeah.
going to believe Sanderson over you. Sanderson actually finished something that only Robert Jordan probably could have done right, and he did better than any, like, how people put it. He did better than any of us deserved
Yeah.
with the situation.
I can't objectively say, but from what all fans that I know said, they're very grateful for it. Of course, we would have far rather that Jordan had done it. I think everyone wishes that Jordan were still with us. It was very
Yeah,
untimely death, but definitely that. And I have not seen that reaction because I try to stay away from everything really to do with that show. But I do. You told me that they didn't have the fight in the sky at the end of the Great Hunt at the end of season 2, and the
Nope.
fact that they left out probably the most, still for me, the single most epic moment of the series so far. That is insane.
Yeah, and not only did they do that, they were on top of a tower, and Rand was on his knees the entire time while Egwene was fighting
Oh, for
Ishamael or Ishamael.
wait, Egwene was doing it instead of him? Well,
Yeah,
there you
so
go. They deserved it.
Egwene kills her Sul'dam, the one that holds her bracelet. She kills her, and then she manages to fight and hold off Ishamael. So Ishamael is this nice looking dude who looks like he runs a Subaru. Me and Steve, Prophet of the Dragon, we always joke that the major villain, the insane villain who was depicted as Alzamon in the books, is just this nice guy that wants to sell you a Subaru
Oh my
from the
gosh.
Falme Subaru dealership. At least that's what I take away from it. Instead of you getting evil, insane Baalzamon with the fiery eyes and the fiery nose and the fiery mouth, you get a very brief glimpse of Baalzamon in the first season, and for maybe like a scene or two, and then he turns into Ishamael. He's just a nice guy. Like
Mm,
the main characters, our heroes, are more evil than the Forsaken are,
yeah.
except for maybe
Well,
Lanfear. But Lanfear's bad. She's bad too. But like they made everybody a bad guy. Morghese murdered. They did a red wedding thing with Morghese. That's how they introduced her character.
what?
She brings in her vassals, and one of the vassals is a young girl, probably like 10 or 11 years old. They all get their throats slit, including the little girl.
That
Yeah.
is sick. That's actually demonic. The fact that, oh my gosh, oh,
Because they had to be Game of Thrones, and then the beginning of season 3, they had to have an Aes Sedai wizard fight, or a Black Aja fight. So they had a Black Aja versus Tower fight, and there was a point where Lyanna, the keeper of the, the, the I forget what it is, keeper of the seals or whatever. She's bludgeoning one of the Black Aja, who just happens to be a woman of color, to death, but bashing her in the head with like her rod or something. I'm like, what is this? And they're all screaming and yelling as they're killing
oh,
people like it's a war thing. Like they don't do that. Aes Sedai don't do that. They don't do that
no.
at all. They don't show emotion like that. They don't let you know what they're thinking, and they don't. And then they get the oath rod. They can't freaking kill each other. Aes Sedai cannot
Oh,
kill Aes Sedai. Aes Sedai can only kill when they're directly when they're directly in danger. That's the only time, and that has to be like a clear and present danger,
yeah.
or shadow spawn. That's it.
Yeah. Well, obviously they didn't understand it or they didn't care. So they
They
deserve
didn't.
what they
They
get.
didn't. They didn't care. They didn't read it. They're like, okay, Lord of the Rings did this. Let's do that. Lord of the Rings is successful. Game of Thrones is successful. Let's just copy them instead of
Mm.
adapting what Robert Jordan wrote.
Oh, what a
and and then
mess.
people are saying, "Oh, the show was successful." There's a lot of gaslighting from fans and from Rafe Judkins about that. Oh, the viewership was all right. No, people checked out.
No.
I mean, the series. I for all my criticisms of Wheel of Time, this sold millions of copies. This is one of the most. This is what made Tor books Tor books. It's what made. I mean, it's helped bring fantasy to the forefront. Helped bring fantasy to the forefront in the '90s and 2000s. I mean, you had other series, but this really helped, propel fantasy.
Yeah.
And
I
then, of
mean,
course, then Harry
I
Potter
didn't.
came in, and
Well, yeah, Harry Potter is a whole other monster there. But even though I really hadn't been involved with it, I still was aware of what was going on, as a fantasy fan. But the whole thing with Jordan, basically. But it's something that's just a crying shame. And if it was successful, everyone would have been watching it. Everyone would have been talking about it. And just look at what happened with like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Look at what happened with Harry Potter, and Don't hate me. Look at what happened with Twilight. It was everywhere. If something is successful, it's not just fans of the books, but it's normies that are just watching the movies or watching the TV show that would be there. You'd be seeing merchandise. No, you're not seeing it because it's not popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan was massive in the 90s and 2000s. Steve says I lived through it. Yeah. And
What's funny is when I was looking for fantasy when I was a teenager in 2000, that's when I read Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter's for the first time. I think I saw Winter's Heart at the bookstore because I remember seeing that original artwork, but I didn't really. I looked at the artwork. I was like, I don't know if I like this. I didn't even realize like these were all the same, were part of the same series, Wheel of Time. So I wasn't really aware of the Wheel of Time until till the mid 2010s when I read all the George R. R. Martin books, and I was looking for another series, and I googled and like what's next, what's another big fantasy series, and the top one that popped up was Wheel of Time. So yes, I missed out on that. I was at Ogilvy Station here in Chicago. I was at the bookstore looking for. I actually had money as a 15-year-old, so I wanted to buy a book, and I couldn't afford to buy like a hardcover like this. So I was looking for a book and I found one for $7.99 with a nice purple cover and a castle. It was called The Sword of Shannara. You ever hear of The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks? So I bought that, and I bought that, and I read. I was like, "Holy crap! This is just like Lord of the Rings." It's Lord of the Rings in 700 pages.
Sure, yeah, and then he realized that, and he owned it. That's one thing I would like about Terry Brooks, that he didn't try to gaslight anybody. And that's the thing, you got to respect the fans. You got to respect them as human beings. And if this is like one of the number one rules, that even if you really disagree with criticism that you get and stuff, that you've got to be the bigger person and say, I'm not going to respond, or at most I'll say, hey, thank you for your input. I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it. But you can't act like a big petulant child the way a lot of these individuals are when people don't like the garbage they're trying to service.
Yeah, I don't understand that this attitude of getting mad at getting mad at the critics and of criticizing it instead of getting mad at the producers creating the crap in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they can't do no wrong, and the only thing that's negative is the fact that people are being critical of it because they're the ones causing the divide. I'm like, no, that's not the case. You're just not intelligent enough to realize that.
No, they created the divide by what they did.
Yeah. So there's like, yeah, and that's kind of why I vote a certain way now, because it's those same types of people. It's just
fan tours.
I don't you do not want to associate or be around people that will lie to you and gaslight you and act petulant like that to you if you disagree with them. That's like walking on eggshells, and it's not worth it. You have to. That's why whenever I deal with people, I look at their behavior. I mean, a lot of people hide their behavior in person, but you look at how they act towards people online.
Yeah, huh?
The only time I get negative or I start to name call people is when people are attacking other people are attacking like my friends or something. I usually tell them, go away, get lost, enjoy your slop or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I usually don't take things sitting down. Usually I will tell someone right back to, yeah.
Well, you can always tell that there's lines that you don't cross, and I think most people know the differences between lines you don't cross. Like that, you can disagree with someone, but whenever you start to like stalk them or dox them or go after their family,
and then they're the ones that have a real problem.
Yeah,
it's a them problem at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And the way that the producers and all that, and the writers, the way they talk about the fans, and I would include the Rings of Prime people with this as well. You're right. You wouldn't tolerate that in your real life. If this was your real life, your friends would be saying, hey, you need to get away from this person. You need to quit being friends with this person. This person's toxic. So why should we sit around and accept it from people that basically their job is to entertain us? Their job is to entertain us. And if we're not entertained, well, then
We're
that's
going to
just too
speak, and
bad.
we're going to voice it.
Yeah,
And
and we're not gonna even gonna voice it, and it's your job to realize you're there to entertain us, and if people don't like it, don't sit around and whine. All they want us to do is entertain them. It's like, yes, yes, that's exactly
yeah,
what you're supposed to do.
we're giving you money. We're paying for this. So, yeah. So the fact that you guys didn't try to learn from your mistakes, that you didn't listen to constructive criticism,
Mhm.
allowed your other fans to be toxic and bully, and not
Exactly.
speak out on it, which is another problem I have with a certain political party. Same crap. I
Mhm.
mean, and maybe it was the culture war stuff that kind of opened my eyes than a certain pandemic.
Mhm.
That's beside the point. Um, yeah, it's just, yeah, you gotta be, you, you gotta, if people want to hang on their echo chambers, just don't let them walk all over you. That's all I'm gonna say.
Darn right.
It's
I agree
bullshit.
with everything you say. Yeah, Steve's like I'm to gave up being polite. Yeah, he did. He got doxxed, stalked, get death threats after I stopped being polite and just went with retardando, a musical term. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, salty traveling wants us to. That's a little extreme. We're not going to do anything with cruise missiles. Actually, I don't have access to them, even if though I am in Texas. Salty traveling. C says physical media focus on what we do have that's good versus a complete dog crap since 2015. In my humble opinion, f those globalist stooge tender writers. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Well,
yeah.
we're having a little bit of Schadenfreude here at the end.
Yeah, there's a lot of but yeah, there's a lot of things, a lot of old stuff to discover. Like I can continue this journey. Older books. Silverlock on X has been posting all the books that he's read over the years. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to a lot of books to discover. There's a lot of old shows to discover. I want to watch V, the series. I've never seen V. That came out in the
Oh,
80s. Yeah,
you have to.
yeah, there's I mean, I still haven't watched Stargate or Farscape, so other classic sci-fi. And yeah, there's a lot, and there's movies. There's a lot of movies I haven't seen yet that I still have to see. And yeah, yeah, Black Company. I have the first Black Company book in my Kindle. I'll probably read it sometime after I finish Wheel of Time.
Okay, yeah, because we have to finish the wheel time. I don't know if you were here for this, Salty, but I told him that if he didn't start reading faster, that I was going to overtake him. And then all of a sudden, he got the fire in his eyes that he will not let me finish this book, this series before he will. So now he has to finish it.
I told Teresa, like, if you finish a book or if you get to a certain point, you have to post it, and you have to goad me like yeah, Apollo Creed or Muhammad Ali.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
you have to goad me into, you have to bully me into, like, oh, I'm gonna catch you and all that. So
Yeah, that's right. Well, see, the problem is, though, I believe in the difference between men and women. Men are better at that kind of trash talking. If I really tried to do an Apollo Creed kind of thing, you just laugh. But yeah, I am no joke. I can be mean. I can be sharp in my own way, in the scary feminine way. But because we're evil. That's what I just love about Land Fear. Again, to tie it back before we stop, is the fact that it was another chick boinking the dude she wanted, that is when you saw the most evil come out of that woman. And
yeah.
it's like, yep, darn right. When we get pissed, but I won't be pissed because I will just be very smug, and I will be public with my smug if I surpass you. So
Oh,
you've got to keep reading.
there was something I wanted to ask you. I forgot about this until now. So during the entire palace sequence where Rand is, he's chasing after Robin and he's hearing Luce Theron. Now if they ever did a true adaptation, how do you think they would do it? Do you think like Game of Thrones completely cut all the internal monologuing and
Hmm.
everything? I'm curious if they actually tried to adapt the threads burn. Do you think they would hire an actor to play Luce Theron? So, like, one shot you'll see Luce Theron talking to Rand, and then another shot he'll be gone, but then he'll pop up again, and then he'll be gone as as the scene is being carried out and all that. Do you think that would be a good idea?
Oh, I think that'd be a great idea. Like kind of behind him or in mirrors and things that you would see it. Yeah,
Or
it
yeah,
can be
mirror.
done
That's
by
another
competent
idea.
people.
That's another idea too.
Hmm. Yeah. And so when he looks in a mirror, he'll see a flash of there, and yeah, that would be awesome. We just need to. My gosh, Salty is. I guess he wants your death or something. He said bear mace for Christmas. Uh, hear me out. Nick Cage for Loose Theron. Oh, that would be great. Oh boy, wow. And Sieg is saying, I had tons of people agree with me when I explained how this and that breaks Thorn's story. They literally see them back at square one, seen it 100 times. Polite explanation does nothing. Oh, well. We'll
Yeah.
agree to disagree because, well, like I was saying earlier, part of being a person is being a
Well,
person.
yeah, a lot of, like a lot. Yeah, part of being a person is wanting, to win the argument for your side. A lot of people are still tribal. I
Yeah.
mean, there's certain elements. Even I'm a little tribal in certain places, but like I see a lot of people on a certain political side or a certain side, with constructive criticism, trying to explain to people who do not want to listen to you. They are
Yeah.
just willing to call you names, including bad people from Germany and bad people from well, bad people from Germany,
Germany. Yeah.
and they act like children, just like those mostly peaceful people in all the various cities around the United States right now. That same type of attitude. These are people you don't want to talk to. These are people, like, if you want to get biblical, you would be advised not to waste your time arguing with people like that who
Yeah.
are not
Do
willing
not
to
cast
listen.
your pearls before
More
swine.
swine. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, we do have to end because I must rest my voice. My voice is starting to get tired. So thank you, Nerdporeal. Thank you, everyone that showed up. I want to thank Stieg, Salty Traveling Sea. We had Rachel Percy Art show up, Jacob Ironside. We had let's see. Want to acknowledge people here. Let's see, a lot of who was it? I said Rachel Percy Art, Tommy, and the Guinea Pig Collective showed up. So, the thing has jumped. So if I missed anyone, it's not intentional. I want to thank everyone for being here, and of course, Brian. And hopefully, I will be finishing the 6 books sooner rather than later. So stay tuned. If you haven't already subscribed and turn on the bell, please go ahead and do so. And I will try to do some daily material as well.
Yeah, last 7 chapters.
Yep, there we are. Well, I can't wait. I've been hearing nothing but good things about it. Yeah, Steve tried to be polite. Doesn't work. Yeah, what Salty said. He says we have to stop humanizing our enemies. No more second chances. No more legitimacy scores. Oh my goodness. Polite is for enablers. Oh dear.
That's what a certain political side keeps doing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, what time he said it, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm a Christian, darn it. But I'm trying. But you see, you know what? I'm a woman, so I will pray to support you all. Because, I'm being very feminine about it all. But I do understand, and I definitely am sick of caring. I know for sure I used to care, but it's like, if you don't care about me, then how can I care about you? But
Exactly.
everyone's preaching. Yeah, they're enjoying it. Well, I mean, I get it, because they will not be polite to you. They will do every kind of insult against you. They will. No blow is too low, and I think
Yeah.
that they take advantage of that.
Yeah. Yeah. They're opportunists.
Yeah, thank you, Conan the Barbarian. see, see them driven before you and hear the lamentations of their women. Wait, sandwiches. Yes, we are good for sandwiches. Hey, I make one hell of a good sandwich. Support
Okay.
us.
What sandwich? I need to know.
Oh, okay. Well, just a second. Support us by supplying ammo, woman. Oh, okay. I thought I said and sandwiches. Well, I make really good. I make brie and apple with vinaigrette sandwiches. I make good caprese sandwiches, and I have
Okay.
been known for my dad to make like sandwiches with like turkey and cheese and lettuce and tomato. So,
You ever make a cucumber sandwich?
oh, of
The English.
course, that's what you
You
make for
cut
tea
you
parties.
you cut yeah you cut off the sides. I think you mix dill with some cream cheese, and then you put you cut the really thinly sliced cucumbers, put it on. It's really good, really fatty, but I've had them. They're really good.
Oh, okay. I can get behind a caprese and at Buffalo Mott's. Damn right, damn right.
Yeah.
You get that cheese out of there.
Yep.
And of course, Steve made me that make me. He practically dared me. Smoked salmon with boiled eggs, which I thought would be horrible, but it actually tasted good. The
Okay.
Tabasco cover. Okay, Steve, I can't say that out loud. All right, with that in mind, thank you everyone. Have a great evening and be certain to read good fantasy.